If just being born is the greatest act of creation, then what are you supposed to do after that?
Being alive is weird. You didn't ask to be here, yet boom. Now you're running around trying to figure out life, love, and why you're always thinking of the perfect comeback after the argument is over. And if there's anyone who truly gets that struggle, it's Finn the human. But here's the thing, Finn isn't just another hero. He's messy, he's emotional, he's had his heart stomped on more times than he'd like to admit, and yet he keeps going. He doesn't just survive, he embraces the chaos. He learns, he grows, he screams dramatically into the void, and then he tries again.
But here's what no one tells you. Finn didn't survive just because he's brave.
He survived because he discovered something. Something about pain, fear, and the absolute weirdness of existence. And if you don't learn it, you might be making the same mistakes.
So grab your sword, your homies, and maybe a sandwich, because what comes next might just change how you see Finn forever.
You just have to imagine that every bruise is a hickey from the universe, and everyone wants to get with the universe.
Life hurts. You fall, you fail, you get your heart broken, and sometimes you step on a Lego at 3 a.m. and wonder if existence is just an elaborate prank from a higher power. But Finn sees things differently. To him, pain isn't just suffering. It's proof that you're alive, that you're trying, that the universe is engaging with you in the weirdest, most chaotic way possible. He doesn't see bruises as just bruises. They're hickeys from the universe. Signs that you were in the fight, that you pushed forward, that you lived.
And if you're alive, then guess what? You've already won half the battle.
Finn's entire journey is filled with moments where he could have just let the pain stop him. Losing his arm, losing Princess Bubblegum, realizing his dad was a complete disappointment. Any of those could have been the thing that broke him. But they weren't, because Finn doesn't let pain define him. Instead, he learns from it, grows from it, and sometimes laughs at it. He knows that pain is temporary, but what you learn from it lasts forever. We all go through pain. It's unavoidable. But Finn teaches us that our suffering isn't meaningless. It's proof that we're in the game, that we're trying, that we're here. Maybe your failures, your heartbreaks, or even your dumb mistakes aren't just random misfortunes. Maybe they're lessons in disguise. Maybe they're the universe trying to get your attention, trying to say, hey, you're alive, keep going. So, the next time life knocks you down, laugh at the absurdity of it all. Wear your bruises like battle scars. And remember, the universe wouldn't flirt with you if it didn't think you were worth it.
But of course, this only works if you're not paralyzed. But by what would you be paralyzed? Your brain.
Man, you're letting your brain dial turn your fear volume up.
Fear doesn't just show up when you're in danger. It takes over your mind, twisting little worries into big, paralyzing thoughts. What if you fail? What if people judge you? What if something goes wrong? Finn knows what it's like to get caught in that loop. But here's the thing, fear isn't reality. It's just your brain playing tricks on you. And Finn learns that the more you listen to fear, the louder it gets. From battling the Lich to facing his own heartbreak, Finn has moments where fear takes over. He doubts himself, he hesitates, he pushes people away, but every time he fights through it, he realizes that fear only has power if you allow it to. Instead of freezing up, he then does what he does best, he moves forward. Even when the outcome is uncertain, he trusts that he'll figure it out along the way.
And isn't that the truth?
Fear will always be there, but it doesn't have to control you. You can choose to turn the volume down. Take the risk, say what you need to say, do the thing that scares you, because fear only wins if you sit still. And when you stop letting fear run the show, you start seeing the world for what it really is, just a series of bigger and smaller versions of the same thing. If you're still uncertain how you can control this fear dial in your brain, stick around for lesson 5. It just takes one little switch and you'll start seeing fear differently. Before that, you really need to understand lesson 3. See if you can get this one yourself.
I say creepy's just another label we use to distance ourselves from stuff we don't understand.
People are quick to label things as weird, creepy, or wrong when they don't get them. It's easier to judge than to understand.
How often do we push things away just because they're unfamiliar? How many times have we judged a person, an idea, or even a new experience just because it made us uncomfortable?
It's similar to never starting that one idea you've always had because you don't know where to start. You just label it impossible, so you're at peace with not taking action. But Finn knows that just because something feels strange doesn't mean it's bad. It just means you haven't looked at it the right way yet. Whether it's befriending Marceline, hanging out with Flame Princess, or literally bonding with the cosmic owl in a dream, Finn constantly steps into the unknown. At first, some of these experiences freak him out. Marceline used to scare the crap out of him, but once he stops looking at things through the lens of fear, he realizes that they're just different, not dangerous. The same applies to people. Finn doesn't write someone off just because they seem unusual. Instead, he asks questions, learns about them, and sees things from their perspective. And more often than not, what once seemed creepy becomes fascinating, even beautiful. So, the next time something feels weird, instead of shutting it out, lean in, ask questions, get curious. Because the things that once seemed strange might end up being exactly what you needed. That is lesson 3. Don't put a label on everything just because you don't understand it. Take some time for it first. When you start looking at the world with curiosity instead of fear, you realize something important.
Everything small is just a small version of something big!
Everything has patterns, and everything fits together, big and small, simple and complex. Whether it's the universe, relationships, or the way a single moment can ripple into something bigger, nothing exists in isolation. At first, this idea just sounds like a cool thought, but then Finn starts to realize this applies to everything. The way he learns from small fights to prepare for bigger battles, the way heartbreak feels huge in the moment, but is really just part of something bigger, growing up. Even the way a tiny, seemingly random event, like meeting a weird bear who copies his every move, can lead to a major revelation about his own flaws. Life works the same way. The small things, the failures, the awkward moments, the random choices, they're all part of something bigger. Maybe that one job rejection leads to a better opportunity. Maybe that weird conversation with a stranger shifts your entire perspective. Maybe the little decisions you make every day are actually shaping the person you're becoming. Finn teaches us to pay attention, to see the connections between things, to realize that even the smallest action can have a huge impact. And once you understand that, you start to move through life with a little more patience, a little more curiosity and wonder.
And when it comes to life's bigger connections and having trouble overcoming your fears like in lesson 2, you need to learn something. That something is in lesson 5.
Beauty is in the hard work itself and the, oftentimes false, sense of purpose we feel when doing it.
We all chase purpose. We want to believe that everything we do has some grand meaning, some perfect destination where all the effort finally makes sense. But Finn, he learns that the real beauty isn't in the outcome, it's in the work itself.
It's a fleeting sensation that drives us to repeat our actions in order to capture it again.
Whether it's training to be a hero, fixing mistakes, or just pushing through when things feel pointless, Finn realizes that purpose isn't always clear, and sometimes it isn't even real. What is real, though, is the grit, the struggle, and the sheer effort you're putting into something. Even if it doesn't lead where you thought it would, the journey still matters. Think about all the times you've worked towards something, a goal, a relationship, a dream, only to feel lost when you got there. Maybe it didn't feel as fulfilling as you'd imagined. Maybe it fell apart. Maybe the purpose you thought you had turned out to be something different entirely. But does that mean that the effort was wasted? No. Because the process, the learning, the pushing, the evolving, is where the real transformation happens. The hard work is the meaning. The act of trying is what makes life worth it. And when you understand that, you stop obsessing over the finish line and start embracing the ride.
But some rides are riskier than others, which brings us to the next, even scarier lesson.
Maybe dating girls is like riding a bicycle. Where like, if you mess up, you could get really hurt forever, or hurt someone you really care about.
Love isn't like the battles Finn fights in the Land of Oo. It's way scarier, because with love, there's no sword, there's no magic spell, no clear enemy to defeat. There's just two people trying to figure it out. And if you mess up, you don't just take damage, you could hurt someone you care about. Finn learns this the hard way. His relationships with Princess Bubblegum and Flame Princess both fall apart, not because he didn't care, but because he wasn't ready and he wasn't mature enough. He makes mistakes, he pushes too hard, he lets his emotions get the best of him, and in the process, he hurts others and himself. But here's what makes Finn different. He learns. He realizes that love isn't just about what he wants, it's about understanding the other person, respecting their feelings, and knowing when to let go. Love isn't something you can force, and it's not something you can take lightly. It's a responsibility. Just like riding a bike, you're going to fall, you're going to crash, and it's going to hurt. But that doesn't mean you stop riding.
And when it comes to relationships, not just romantic ones, but friendships too, Finn learns one thing above all else.
Homies help homies. Always.
If there's one thing Finn understands, it's that you don't get through life alone. Whether it's Jake, Bimo, Marceline, or even Ice King, Finn is surrounded by people who have his back, and just as often, he has theirs. Being a hero isn't about fighting the toughest monsters or going on the biggest adventures. Sometimes it's just about showing up for the people who need you, whether it's a battle, a breakup, or just one of those days where everything feels heavy. Finn reminds us that supporting your friends isn't an obligation, it's just what homies do. Life is weird, messy, and unpredictable, but if you have good people around you, you can get through anything. And in the end, that's what really matters. Not the battles, not the heartbreaks, but the people who stick by you through it all. Because when everything else is uncertain, one truth remains: homies help homies, always.
But there's one final lesson Finn teaches us, one that's bigger than any battle, any heartbreak, or any adventure.
I feel like I put a lot of work into this meat reality. I'd like to see it through.
Finn has been through a lot. He's lost people, lost love, lost pieces of himself, literally. He's had moments where he's questioned everything, where he's felt lost, where the weight of existence has been too much. But through it all, Finn never gives up. He doesn't quit on life, even when it feels unfair, even when it hurts, because at the end of the day, he's put too much into this life to just walk away from it.
And really, isn't that all of us?
We spend so much time growing, learning, struggling, laughing, loving, hurting, healing. We pour so much of ourselves into this life that even in the worst moments, there's always something worth sticking around for. Life is weird, life is unpredictable, life is exhausting, but it's yours.
And if you've made it this far, why not see it through? You can question your existence.
But you can also learn from someone even more knowledgeable. That more knowledgeable person? Jake the dog. His life lessons are even more insightful or funny at times. Check them out by clicking here.